I'm a reflexologist, and I've been using Nekin products, and they have many different types of products to use to help with the human body. And a few years ago, I was at the church, and we have a basketball uh, games there, and the boys, the younger boys than me, were playing basketball. And as they were playing basketball, one of the boys got a cramp, and he limped off of the floor onto the stage. And I helped him get up on the stage. And I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Oh, I got a cramp. I got Charlie horse. I got a cramp." And I said, "Oh, how bad is that?" And he said, "Whenever I get them, I can't walk for like 3 days." And I said, "Well, that's too bad." And so I helped him up on the stage, and I said, "Just lay on the stage on your stomach." And he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to see if I can help you." And he said, "Oh, Mr. Smith, what can you do? It takes 3 days for this to go away." I said, "Well, I got something in the car. I'm going to go get it for you, and I'm going to use it on you, and we'll see what happens." And he said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." So I went out to my car, and I got in my car, and I got this device here. It's called a Mag Duo, and it rolls. It has the rollers on it, and these rollers are magnetic. So I went to the car and I got this, and I came back, and he was still laying there. So I said, "Just lay there. You don't have to do anything. I'll do it all." And he said, "Oh, it's not going to help." I said, "Well, let me see." "Okay, Mr. Smith." So I started rolling it on his leg. He said, "What is that thing?" I said, "It's magnets, and they roll. So just lay there and relax." He says, "It's painful. I'm in so much pain." I say, "Well, give me a few minutes. Let me roll this on you, and we'll see what happens." So maybe 10, 15 minutes, I rolled it on the back of his calves, back of his legs, and on his back. And after about 15 minutes, he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Tell me what you're feeling." And he said, "My calves aren't sore anymore." "What was that thing?" And I said, "It's mag duals. They're magnets, and they roll, and they activate your body and make it so your body gets feeling better faster." And he turned around on the floor and he said, "Show me that thing." So I showed it to him and showed him how it spins, and took it and spun it like this and showed him how it works. And he said, "I don't believe it. I've been in pain every time I get a cramp like that, and for at least 3 days, and I can't run, I can't do anything. And look, I can actually." Then he stood up and he said, "I can stand up. I can't believe it. I can stand up." I said, "Yes." So I'm going to do just a little bit more for you. So I bent over and I did his leg from his heel to his calf. And then I said to him, "Walk around a little bit." He said, "Walk?" I said, "Yeah, walk around a little bit." He said, "I don't think I can walk." I said, "Hold my hand and I'll help you around." So I held out my hand, put his hand on my hand, and he started limping. I said, "You don't need to limp anymore, just walk." So he holds my hand and he starts walking, and he can't believe it. His eyes are like bulldozers. And then after about 5 minutes or so of walking around, he said, "I don't have any pain left. How does that work?" I said, "Really well." So he said, "Okay, now what?" I said, "Come down off the stage and walk around a bit and see if you can play." He said, "Play?" I said, yeah. Well, if you have no pain left and you can move, let's just check it out. So he said, well, okay. So we went down on the main floor. I walked around with him a little bit. And before you knew it, he was running up and down in the floor playing basketball again. And he came to me a couple of times and said, Mr. Smith, I can't believe it. Normally I have these cramps so bad, I'm crying, and I don't understand what you did. I said, I took this little thing, it has 2 rollers on it of magnets, and I rolled them on your leg, just like that, and it took care of it. He said, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't felt it. He finished playing the game. There was another half an hour in playing hard basketball, throwing the basket into the net and everything. And when he came off the floor, he came to me and he said, I got to have some of those. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I used to get such bad cramps. Am I going to get bad cramps again? I said, you know what you should do is find yourself $100 and buy one. So then you have it in your pocket. And if you're carrying it in your pocket, it's having good effect on you, even when you're just walking. Really, he said? I said, yes. And they're not expensive. They're just a little over $100. So that's what he did. A couple of days later, he talked to me, and he bought one of these. And I said to him, you know, it'd be a good idea before you start playing, just to roll them on your legs and roll them on your body. And then during the game, if you start getting tight, you stop for a couple of minutes, roll them again on your body, just like that, wherever you want to roll it, and it's going to help you. Well, the next week he came, he had them with him, and he was playing. At one point I saw him kind of go off a little ways, and he stopped, bent over with these in his hand, started rolling it on his legs. And within 5 minutes, he's running again. And after the game was over, I said to him, how do you feel? He said, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't experienced it. Mr. Smith, I wouldn't have believed it. I can play basketball. I can stop for a few minutes, roll these things. I said, mag duals. Yeah, these mag duals on me, and I'm not in pain anymore. I just don't understand it. I said, well, you don't have to understand it. You just have to do it. He said, absolutely. So he continued playing basketball even at the university. And he would take them with him and have the use of them when he was playing basketball at the university.
That's cool.